Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today, where I share with you paper crafting tips and techniques and hope to inspire you to use those and create your own projects. So if that sounds like something that would be beneficial to you, I'd love to invite you to be part of my crafting community by hitting that subscribe button down below and ringing the bell so you'll get notifications of future posts. So today's fun fold card is called a W fold card. At least that's what I've seen it called by a couple of people. So that's what I'm going with. And we're going to use this fun timeless tropical stamp set. And I just love these images on here. All that detailed shading is just gorgeous. So we're going to have some fun with the tropics. It got pretty darn close to wintry temperatures the last couple days here in Montana, so I am ready for some tropical vibes. I do want to share with you that I got inspired by Eve over at Scrapbooking with Me and Linda Bowen, who is another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So I'll put links to their cards down below, and I urge you to check them out. They have some great tutorials. So let's go ahead and start with the base. So this is going to use one full sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Now I've done a lot of the cutting and stamping because there's a bit to putting this together, and I want to keep the video tutorial from getting too long. So this is one piece of 8.5 by 11. So I've cut my standard card base, 4¼ by 11 inches. So let's pull that out of the way there. Then I cut another strip that's 2 inches by 11 inches. And then I cut 4 panels, and these are 2¼ inches by 2¾ So that gets you exactly 4 panels. These are going to go on the inside, these pieces of our card, and you'll see that in just a moment. Hang on there with me. But I just want to give you kind of a visual that you can get all of those pieces out of one piece of cardstock for your base. So it's a great way to not have a bunch of scraps left over, because I don't know about you, but I tend to have a lot of little pieces, and I try and hold on to them and use them. I use some of them actually when creating this card because I did some die cutting. So this timeless tropical stamp set does come with dies, and I chose to keep those in here in my same case as my stamp pad, and it's got a lot of fun ones. So you've got this huge pineapple, which isn't going to fit on our card tonight, but you have these fun little flowers and the palm trees, lots of different leaves. I love all the variety of leaves that they gave us, 4 different styles, and some of them not only cut but have some embossing on them as well. And then this little aloha, and this one that cuts out the pineapple. So we're going to use all of those tonight in the card that I'm showing with you. So let's go ahead and talk about the other pieces of paper you're going to need and get those out of the way really quick. So we're going to need for the inside 2 panels of white at 4 by 5¼ and then I've got 2 pieces of, well, let's go ahead, I've got one more piece of 4 by 5¼ I've actually cut that just a smidge. That's a real technical term, I know. Just a smidge smaller than the 4 by 5¼ So I've got these 2 pieces. One piece of this DSP. This was 2½ by 5¼ and this piece is 1½ by 5¼ and then I have these that are going to fit on our panel, these small pieces of DSP that are oh shoot, let's see. I think they're 2 by 2½ Okay, I'm going to double check my measurements. 2 by 2½, and then I have one long piece of DSP that is 1½ by 10½. So that's all the pieces, and then a couple of scrap pieces for your stamping and your sentiment that we're going to put on the front. So let's go ahead and assemble the front of this card. And for that I'm going to use my liquid glue. I love this fun paper, so I chose to kind of spotlight this on the front and go with some more tone-on-tone colors on the inside. As much as I love all these vibrant, fun DSPs, I was just afraid that it might take away from the images that I want to share and kind of overshadow them. All right, so we're going to put that on. Look at this. Isn't this so pretty? And I'm going to hide that. It's killing me. I hate to hide this, but I wanted something a little more muted on here. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip this over and give it a quick little trim. Like I said, I cut that base just slightly smaller. So we're just going to shave a little bit off, and that just allows me to ensure that I don't have some white poking out from this base. So we're going to mount this panel on here eventually, but I do have a piece of the burlap trim that I wanted to put on here, and I found the best way to adhere this stuff because it is kind of thick, and I don't find it works super well with the glue. So the best way I found is to actually wrap it around the back of the panel and put a piece of my tear and tape on there. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So this is probably, I cut this probably about 6¼ inches long, maybe 6½. Just made sure I have plenty to wrap around and tie that. And then I want to mount this panel up because that is very thick on the back. So if I just leave that, it's going to add some bulk there, and it's not going to lay nice and flat for me. So I'm going to come in and put some of this foam tape, like these big strips for this kind of project instead of the dimensionals, because I've got a lot to cover, and I don't want to have a bunch of gaps where that's going to fall down on me in there. So we're gonna fill this in with that foam tape. Peel these pieces off. And let's see, a little tricky there. So let me know, how's the weather where you're at? Is it warmer than normal, colder? Wasn't quite expecting this super chilly weather. I know the gardens are not going to enjoy it too much, but we'll figure that out. I've gone ahead and used the sentiment, "May your birthday be memorable," and I'm gonna cut my punch piece that's for my backer in half so I can have that poking out and do a matting layer on both sides. This is it's one of the newer punches that came out. I believe that came out with the Spring Occasions catalog, the mini catalog, and I believe it did carry over into the annual catalog too. So it's a nice one because it's got the slit in it and the little hole, so great for making tags. And I'm just going to take some of this foam tape instead of getting my dimensionals back out. And I think I cut that a little bit long. I'm just going to put some on both ends of this here so that it rides. There's a valley in the middle there that I can put that burlap trim through. So again, it's all about getting it to lay nice and flat. Well, even, I guess I should say. Not flat, because we've got dimension on there, which you know I really enjoy. Now you could put this sentiment, of course, anywhere that you wanted on this card front, but I thought it would be fun to put it, try and scrunch those in there, to put it right over the top of that burlap. And that's the outside of our card. Now let's go ahead and get these panels out of the way. I'm going to skip stamping anything on these panels because you'll see when we get done that most of it is going to be covered up by this W fold. So I want to have some spaces where you can still write a note to the card recipient. Yeah, we need to let them know who it's from at least. You know, this is a great card if you don't like writing a lot in it, though, because in your cards, because there isn't a lot of space for it. So it gives you a good reason to be brief, and they won't care because they'll be just in awe with the card that you've created. So let's get this this piece. So I could go ahead and use my scoreboard on this, but I'm just going to show that you can just do this with your bone folder too, because it's just folding things in half. So this piece we're going to fold in half. Now if you wanted to score it, you would score it at let's see, 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and 8 1/4. But let's just go ahead and use our bone folder to score that, and then I'm just going to bring this side up and this side over, and that is going to give us our, oh, there we go, our W for the inside of this card. So it's going to end up sitting like this. All right, now I wanted to put another layer of DSP on here because, you know, I just can't let the DSP go. So you don't want to do that before, or you don't want to glue that down before you fold it, because it's going to just pull it slightly smaller. So if you get this all glued down first, you're going to end up kind of out of whack. So what I did with this is I just kind of lined it up here, held it, and folded it along my folds. Because it's this thinner DSP, it folds really easily for me. And then I'm going to adhere that down, so I know that's going to lay nicely for me. Otherwise you end up getting it kind of pulling, and you could actually even rip your paper slightly. So, and I'm gonna pull this side up. Once I get one side adhered down, then I'm just going to put a little glue on these. They don't need a whole lot of glue. The fold itself is going to keep them in place as well. And as you can see, I'm not making that super tight on there, so it does have a little bit of room to wiggle if needed. So let's give this one more good fold on all those pieces, because there is a lot of bulk there. All right, let me bring this back in, and I am going to glue one of these panels down. And I'm just gonna line, let's see, sorry, just wanna make sure I'm getting this done properly. I do have a little buckling there, but don't worry, we're gonna cover that up. So if you get that, don't stress about it. So I want this to still have some give, so I don't want to go all the way to the edge. I'm going to kind of line it up right with the edge of that matting piece. And then put a little bit of glue in here and bring this back panel over to match and meet up. And now we have our W fold. So let's go ahead and get our panels put together and ready. And like I said, I've done a bunch of the die cutting already, so I'll share with you some of those pieces that I have, and we'll figure out where we're gonna put all of them. To do the coloring on these, I did color the pineapple and the flower, and I used my Stampin' Write markers to color those. Daffodil Delight and Pear Pizzazz, and I just made a mistake there. I do not want that. I want to show this blue side because I want to be able to pull these up. So I just give that a quick wipe down, and I will come in and use an eraser to make sure I get rid of the rest of that, unless we cover it up with, so I don't have that sticky on there, unless we end up covering that up with one of the embellishments. Maybe we'll try and artfully place an embellishment that way so that it covers it. So I'm just matting these panels. I chose this pattern because, again, I didn't want to compete with my images that I am putting on there. I just want to let them stand out and be the focal point. So you could just do this with some designer series paper on all these panels, and so you could have just used this side, and that would have been actually really pretty and wouldn't have to do any of this decorating. So let me know, which do you think you'd prefer, having some of that designer series paper on there, or do you prefer having more embellishments and images? It's totally up to your preference on how you want to do this. So let's take these, and I'm gonna try and put this flower down here just to cover up that sticky area. And it's okay if it goes off the side. I kind of like that look. And let's see, I think we're going to use this sleeve. I die cut a few of them, but I think I like that one best to go with that. So we're going to call that panel done. And then I've got these pineapples. I thought it'd be kind of fun to put two of them on there because they are a little small. So we'll put both of those on one panel. I've got my palm trees, which are bigger than these panels, but that's okay. We can trim those down and get rid of that excess. We don't need the whole trunks on that. Let's go ahead and flip this over and cut the bottoms of those trunks off, and hey, we got most of it on there, right? And then I've got these little flowers here, and I'm just going to put like little dots of glue on there. I don't want a whole lot to seep through, and they will be fine with just a tad of glue. You don't need a lot of this. In fact, that's probably too much right there, so we'll move some of that around. Do a little overlapping. And this little tiny guy. See if I can do this without making a mess. I should have my tweezers out, but I'm not very dexterous with those. I don't know. Do you guys use tweezers? Give me a thumbs up if you like to use tweezers in your card making and crafting. I do have a set, and I'm going to bring out for this one. Where's my little, there we go. I'm going to bring my silicone mat out. When you've got these little tiny die cuts, you can take one of our sponges, put some glue on the silicone mat, and just dab. You do want to be careful you're not moving that die cut around a lot, or you're going to get glue on the front. But this is a great way to get adhesive on those tiny little pieces there. And there's our aloha. So let's go ahead and put these on the card. And you can put these all in the center. You can put them all at the top to the bottom. You can stagger them. Really just kind of up to you. I think I'm going to do a little bit of both. I think I'm going to put some up towards the top and some towards the bottom. So just think about that when you're putting your adhesive on. So you don't want to necessarily glue that other piece down, you want it to be able to pop up. Not so much an issue on these end pieces, but when you get to the middle ones, that would be a problem, and we don't want that. So let's put I want to put the pine trees next, and put these down here. And our little pineapples. Of course, like all the projects I do, take different cards, different themes, and play with it. You can do so many things with this layout and have a lot of fun. And if you really want to showcase your DSP, hey, just do all pattern paper on here instead of the embellishments, and then those will really go super quick for you as well to get these cards done. So we've got a little bit of space to write some notes on this card, and it's going to fold up nicely for us and fit in an envelope. You are going to have to pay some extra postage if you're mailing this, because it is going to be bulky and it's going to have to be sent through it's going to have to be hand stamped when it goes through. So be aware of that. Maybe this is when you hand to a friend so you can see their reaction when they open the card. And again, there's our fun W fold. I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure that you check out my Facebook group, Paper Stamp Inkers. This is part of my 30-day challenge in June here, where I'm going to be giving away prizes for people that are participating in my group over on Facebook as well. And I love to see what you guys are working on and have you share your projects with me. I hope you'll join me over there. And until we meet again, make sure you grab your paper, stamp, and ink and do something creative.